Hello and welcome to our online class. Today I am going to discuss one of the important topic of history, ruling the countryside. This chapter is very important as British East India Company ruled in India for a long time after the Battle of Plassey. On 12th of August 1765, Mughal Emperor appointed East India Company as the Divan of Bengal. From that period till 1947, they did many changes in land revenue system, in agricultural system of India. In this chapter, we will discuss how East India Company ruled countryside area. Here it refers that in villages, forest regions and hilly areas, how they did their administration, established their administration in these regions. First of all, let's see the content of this chapter. In this chapter, we are going to discuss these following contents. First of all, the company becomes Divan. As you know that this is the first topic of this chapter, that when company members they came to India, they got Diwani right. Here you can see the first topic. Second, revenue for the company, as when they ruled in India, they collected land revenue from the people of the Indian territories. The way, the methods, the policies which they adopted, that would be discussed in this para. The need to improve agriculture, next topic of the chapter. As you know that Indian people were doing agriculture by their traditional ways, old methods. Now Britishers they realized that this is the time to improve the agricultural methods. The problem, when they introduced new methods in India like permanent settlement, Rayatwari, Mahalwari system, they faced many problems. Even people of the country they also faced many problems. A new system is devised. Here after that they introduced their new system of land revenue collection in the Bengal provinces, Bengal, Bihar, Odisha region, that is the permanent settlement. The Munro System, here Rayatwari system that was introduced. All was not well. Here it refers that people were not satisfied with the rule. They were not satisfied with the policies of the Britishers. Crops for Europe. Britishers they realized that there is a need to grow special crops for the European countries because there was a great demand of cash crops, commercial crops, indigo. Now indigo is a color, blue color. Does color have a history? So we will read the history of the color in India and in European territories. Here the next topic is why the demand for Indian indigo. because Indian indigo had a great demand in European territories. Britain turns to India for indigo and other commercial crops. How was indigo cultivated? Process methods. The problem with niche cultivation, niche and Riothi system of cultivation we will discuss. Indigo on the land of rats. Rats here it refers the cultivators, farmers, peasants. The Blue Rebellion. It was the rebellion by the indigo people, indigo farmers, and after. So these are some of the points which we will discuss in this chapter. This is very interesting chapter, that how Britishers they established their rule. First of all, let's see the content, first part of this chapter, that how company becomes the Divan. As you know that Britishers they fought Battle of Plassey in 1757, and after that battle they established their control over Bengal territory. Mir Jafar, he ruled as a puppet king. Even after that, Mir Qasim, in the beginning he also ruled as per the guidelines of the Britishers, but later on he joined his hands with Mughal emperor and Awadh ruler, which resulted Battle of Buxar in 1764. After this battle, one treaty was signed, Treaty of Allahabad, which gave Diwani right to East India Company members. Diwani right here refers that company members they became Diwans of these regions. Now they could collect land revenue, meanwhile tax from the peasants for their cultivation, land revenue, source of income for the Britishers. Here you can see that on 12th of August, Mughal emperor appointed East India Company as the Divan of Bengal. Bengal, it was a presidency that time. Bengal, Madras, Bombay, Calcutta. These were presidencies. Later on, number of presidencies increased. Now Britishers they became the chief financial administrator of these regions. A revenue source that came under their control. Now they had the power to do their trade in these regions as per their requirement. Now they were not under the control of any emperor. Now they need not to take any permission or farman, as we discussed in the previous chapter that farman was a royal order, a license for the trade. Now it was not required because company got Diwani right. Land revenue collection right was given to company members. Now they were powerful. Company members they decided to rule in the countryside regions also along with the major cities. Now they decided that revenue source that will come only by the agriculture, because they knew very well that India is a agricultural nation. People of the country they were engaged in agricultural methods. That's why now company decided to do some changes in the agricultural matters. Here is the second topic of the chapter, revenue for the company. Source of income. Source of income for the company. Now company members, they decided that they will collect regular income, but it was very difficult to collect regular income as land revenue. They had no source of regular income, as they were buying Indian cotton, Indian silk, but they were not getting good profit. Before 1865, company had purchased goods in India by importing gold, silver from Britain. For purchasing Indian spices and Indian goods, they brought gold and silver from Britain. That was the beginning phase of East India Company, that they purchased Indian items by their own gold, silver. They gave us gold and silver. But see the transformation of the time. In the later phase, time came when they used Indian money for the purchasing of Indian items only. There was a drainage of wealth from India to European nations. So that you can see here in this slide. Company members, they became main jamindars, jagirdars, talukdars, and head of the land matters, being the Divani rights in their hands. They forced Indian peasants to pay the revenue in time. Indian farmers, they were unable to pay the dues because these dues were very high. One another incident took place in 1770. A very terrible famine, drought type of situation, when there is no rainfall, when people die because of the drought. So that famine killed 10 million. 10 million refers to 1 crore. 1 million is equivalent to 10 lakhs. 10 million people in Bengal, about 1/3 of the population that was wiped out. You can see the condition that people, they had no alternate, no way. They were totally dependent on agriculture, but there was no rainfall. Coming to next topic, here you can see the need to improve agriculture. Britishers, when they got this Divani right, they felt that they will get good revenue from India, but they felt that it is very difficult to collect the revenue because people are already facing problems and the production is also very less. Indian people, they used very old and traditional methods of land revenue, of agriculture, and production in the farms was very less. Even they were not paying their revenue regularly to the jamindars or their kings. But when this Bengal region, it came under the control of Britishers, they decided that they will do some changes in land revenue matters. So first initiative that was taken by Lord Cornwallis, here you can see the name, that he was the person, Lord Cornwallis. He was the person who remained Governor General of India, and in 1793 he finally introduced permanent settlement. Permanent settlement means it was permanent for that area and the farmers. Now, what was this permanent settlement? Just try to understand that by this settlement, now Rajas and Talukdars, they were recognized as Jamindar, because there were many princely states and many Jamindars. They lived in those regions. Land was under their property, under their control. So Britishers, they decided that Jamindars, they would be the owner of land. Land will remain under the control of Jamindars only. They were made owner of the land. I think so that this first point is clear to you, that as per this permanent settlement 1793, Jamindars, they were made the owner of the land by the Britishers. Why they were made a region? What was the benefit of the Britishers? Here you can see in the second line that they were asked to collect rent from the peasants and pay revenue to the Britishers. Means this is very important, that Jamindars were given power to collect land revenue and to pay to the Britishers. The reason was that time Britishers, they had no enough force to collect the revenue from different regions, different areas, as the Bengal was a large province that time. So they gave this task to Indian Zamindars. Indian Zamindars, they collected land revenue, and the revenue was fixed. The amount was fixed. It was not to be increased ever in future. It was decided that this revenue will remain fixed. Britishers, they decided that this would be the revenue as per hectare. So they felt that by this settlement in Bengal, Bihar, Odisha region, now Britishers will get permanent income, because land revenue was fixed, land was fixed, Zamindars were fixed. So this system was for the fixed revenue in Bengal region. But Indian farmers, even Jamindars and Britishers, they faced problem in this land revenue system. What were the problems? Here we can see in the next slide here, that when they introduced this system, they fixed the land revenue of the area, which was so high. Meanwhile, the land revenue, or the revenue which they decided, that was so high. It was not possible for the Indian farmers, Indian cultivators, to pay that much land revenue to the Britishers. It was difficult for them. Sometimes they failed to pay the land revenue to the Britishers. Even Indian cultivators, they took loan to pay that land revenue, and whosoever failed to pay that loan to the Zamindars, means they came in the clutches of the zamindars or these rich people, and finally they were exploited by the Britishers, by the zamindars. Apart from that, zamindars, they did not pay any attention on this land. Britishers, they realized that now the condition of the land would improve, but it was not there. Most of these zamindars, they gave this land revenue right to their people and settled themselves in cities. They enjoyed their life. That's why the condition of the land that declined. Land revenue that was collected forcefully. Farmers, means they faced many problems to submit this land revenue. This rent was very high. Even sometimes, means they sold their houses to pay this rent. So this permanent settlement had many demerits. These are some of the demerits which I discussed with you. Here comes to next part of this chapter, that is Mahalwari Settlement. As you know that in Bengal region they introduced permanent settlement. Lord Cornwallis in 1793 AD he introduced this system, but this was not possible because this was an experiment in those regions. That's why they did not introduce this system throughout the country. And in the northwestern provinces, especially in Uttar Pradesh region and other regions, Holt Mackenzie, here you can see the name Holt Mackenzie, he devised the new system which came into effect in 1822, named as Mahalwari system. Mahal refers to village, group of village. Here you have to understand this terminology, that Mahal, sometimes it is called Mahal. So this Mahal or Mahal is a group of village. Meanwhile, this time land revenue method was totally different. This time it was collected from group of village. Now he realized that the village was an important social institution in North Indian society, and under his directions, collectors, they went village to village. They inspected the land, measured the fields, recorded the customs, and finally estimated the revenue of each plot within the village. Within the village, each plot land revenue was estimated, and finally it was given to village or mahal, group of the people. The demand was to be revised periodically, although it was not fixed. In permanent settlement, this revenue was fixed, but in Mahalwari it was not fixed. It was decided that periodically it would be changed. Village headmen and other powerful people, they were given responsibility to collect this revenue. That's why it is known as Mahalwari system. Although this also had many problems, because many people, they were unable to pay the land revenue to the Britishers. In that case, entire village was collecting the land revenue for them. Third important system which was introduced for the land revenue, as we are discussing today the important source of income for the Britishers, which was land revenue system. So that is the Rayat War or Rayat Wari system. It is also called Munro system. We have seen that in permanent settlement land revenue was from Bengal region. Mahalwari settlement that was in the North Indian provinces, and this Rayat Wari system, it was in South India. This was introduced by Alexander Reed, Captain Reed, and Thomas Munro. That's why it is called Munro system also. According to this system, land revenue was collected directly from the cultivators. Means they decided that no zamindar, as zamindar was the mediator in permanent settlement, village headman and village group of villages, means they were the main party in Mahalwari system, but in Munro system they decided that they will collect direct revenue from the cultivator or the farmer who is cultivating the land. So they were made the owner of the land, and they were given the responsibility that they will submit the land revenue directly to the Britishers. This system had also weaknesses, demerits like others, because land revenue was very high. The major problem was the tax which was collected, that was very high. As you can see in this slide, that all was not well. Revenue officials, they fixed too high a revenue demand. The demands were high. Revenue, sometimes it was up to 50% of the total production. For example, if a farmer is getting 20 quintal from one farm, so he was about to pay 10 quintals to the Britishers. So in case of natural calamity like flood, rainfall, heavy rainfall, in case of drought or the famine type of situation, in case of any disease in the crops, they failed to pay and they were forced to give their revenue. If they were unable to pay the revenue, their land, their house, their property, their family members, they were captured, they were asked to do forced labor as an indentured labor, forced labor free of cost, that was done. That's why it is said that all was not well. Here in the next para, crops for Europe. As we all know that British East India Company was a trading company. They came here for the trade, and that country is in the cold region. That's why they had more requirement of tea and coffee. Industrial revolution began in those regions in 18th century, mid 18th century. Industrial revolution came in England, especially in Britain. That's why for their factories, for their industries, they had requirement of tea, coffee, sugar cane. So they persuaded or forced Indian cultivators to grow these crops, just like in Bengal, jute, in Assam, tea plantation region, sugar cane from this Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana region, wheat in Punjab, cotton in Maharashtra and Punjab, and rice in Madras region. Even they asked for indigo. Indigo, meanwhile, a blue color, blue rich blue color, that was also in demand, that was in great demand in European territories that time, as Britishers and these European countries, means from the 13th century, they were using indigo for dyeing their clothes, for color, although that was not fulfilling their demand. And these European cloth manufacturers, they depended on one another plant that was called woad, WOAD, to make the violet and blue dyes, because this plant is a plant of temperate zone. In geography you might have studied that torrid zone, temperate zone and frigid zone. So this wood was easily available in Europe, but in competition to indigo it was not having any importance, because color of this wood, it was pale and dull. It was dull color, means not giving good blue color like this slide. Here this slide I have made blue as like the indigo color, because this chapter is concerned with indigo revolt. So here you can see that the color is also this blue. So here is the data that between 1783 to 89 the production of indigo in the world that fell down because of the less supply of the indigo. So British East India Company, they felt that India is a good place from where they could get indigo for their factories for dyeing the clothes in the European market. Here we have some data that in 1788, you can see here that only about 30% of the indigo imported into Britain was from India. But by 1810, this proportion, it has gone up to 95%. Means they used Indian indigo. Commercial agents, they asked Indian farmers to grow indigo more in number. The reason was that it was beneficial for them. So now indigo cultivation, the method of indigo cultivation, I am telling you that there were two main systems of indigo cultivation. That how indigo was cultivated, there were two ways. So first way is shown in this slide, you can see here on the top, Niz system. Niz, it is a Sanskrit word, Niz, apna. Niz system, and the second was Rioti, means riots. From riots it has come, cultivator terminology. So as per this Niz system, the planters, they produced indigo in lands that he directly controlled. Means that land was his own, and planter or that person who was producing that indigo, he had the control over that land. He either bought the land or rented it from the zamindars and produced indigo by directly employing hired labor. Just like you can say, if I take a land from a zamindar and I pay rent to him for that land, and by hired labor I grow indigo. Or if the land is mine, then I will grow indigo and I will use hired labor. There is no loan, there is no interference of anyone. I can sell my indigo as per my choice. So now in this system also, these planters they face difficulty because people of Bengal, Bihar territories, they had very small patches of land. Small land was there. Now Britishers they asked Indian planters to grow these indigo in those regions. When they started growing indigo in their farms, they faced difficulty and found difficulty to grow their food crops. They had no land for their food crops like wheat, rice, etc. So they also faced problems of labor in those regions because this niche cultivation it had requirements of hoe, plow, bullocks. 1 bigha of indigo cultivation that required 2 plows. This meant that the planters with 1000 bigha would need 2000 plow and good number of labor. Now in late 19th century, situation came that these planters, those who were doing niche cultivation, they were not ready to grow indigo. They were reluctant word I'm using, not ready. They were not happy to grow the indigo. Reason was that they were not getting food crops because of this indigo crop. Second system is Riyoti. I am coming to the conclusion part of this chapter. Only few slides are left. This is very important to know the land revenue system of the Britishers in India. That Riyoti system, Riyoti means the planters they forced the ryots to sign a contract. Meanwhile, ryots here it refers that farmers, cultivators, they were asked to sign a contract to the Britishers, an agreement, satta, and those who signed the contract they got cash advance from the Britishers, advance from the planters. They were asked to sell their crops to the Britishers only, and they were asked that they will sell at least 25% of the land of the area under his holding to that planter only, because planter provided seed, drill and other items to these indigo farmers. Indirectly these cultivators, these farmers, they became their bonded laborer. They came under debt. They had no other alternate to accept the conditions of the planters. Ultimately, when they had no other choice and when they were forced to grow the indigo in their areas by the zamindars and planters, by the agents of the Britishers who were called planters agents, who were called gomasthas. Here you can see the one terminology, gomastha is written here, agents of planters who were coming to collect the revenue time to time. So in 1859, ryots of Bengal, meanwhile cultivators or the farmers of Bengal, they denied to pay the rent. They denied that we will not give any rent to the Britishers. They denied and attacked on indigo factories with their arms and ammunitions, means with swords, bows, arrows. Even they used their family utensils too against the planters and these gomasthas. Riots, they swore, they took place that they would no longer take any advance to sow indigo in their farms. In 1859, these riots, they felt that they had the support of the local zamindars and village headmen too. Means they were supported by some of the zamindars and headmen against these planters. In many areas, they fought battle with these Britishers, these planters, and they continued their struggle. They realized that they will definitely get their rights back from the Britishers. Now see the next slide. Why Indigo Revolt? The reason of the Indigo Revolt. Reason is the forceful ways which was adopted by the Britishers to grow indigo in the region. Here I am clearing the concept. Indigo means blue color, Neel. In Hindi we use the term Neel, which is used to color the clothes, dye. In dye it is used in colors. So British government worried about this rebellion, and ultimately one you can say British took steps to do some changes in these regions. One Indigo Commission was set up. This commission held the planters guilty. Now commission decided that these planters, they are responsible for this revolt because they forced Indian riots, Indian cultivators to do that revolt against the Britishers. They created such kind of conditions. So this Indigo Rebellion brought some changes in their life. In this commission, it was clear that indigo production was not profitable for the riots, for these cultivators. But this commission suggested Indian cultivators that they will fulfill their contract which they already signed with the planters. Because they had already taken money in advance. Planters, they got some relief from the government. Some of them shifted their operation to Bihar and other regions. And if you remember, when Mahatma Gandhiji he returned from South Africa, a peasant from Bihar, he persuaded Mahatma Gandhi to visit Champaran region against these planters, and Gandhiji started his Satyagraha movement, which was first Satyagraha movement in India against these planters, in which he succeeded, and indigo planters and other planters of Bihar region, Champaran region, they got relief. So in this chapter we have discussed land revenue policies of colonial India. Britishers, they introduced major policies like permanent settlement. We have discussed that in 1793 Lord Cornwallis he introduced this system. You have to understand that permanent settlement was for zamindars. Means zamindars, they were given the right to collect the revenue. They were made the owner in simple terms. Then Mahalwari system, which was introduced by Mackenzie, Holt Mackenzie in 1822, especially in northern provinces, Uttar Pradesh region and others. Group headman, village headman. Mahal refers to village. Okay. Village or group of villages, they were given responsibility to collect the revenue. And the third was Munro System. Munro System refers to a Rayat Wari, which was introduced by the Britishers Captain Reed and Thomas Munro. So in Rayat Wari they collected land revenue directly from the cultivator or Rayat. Rayats were made the owner of the land. Then Nij and Riyoti. Nij means their own land in which they were growing the crops. Riyoti means in which they were signing a contract with the planters. So these are the important points which we have discussed in this chapter. I hope you understood. If you like this, then share this and subscribe this channel. I hope you will get a lot of information of social science subject in this channel. Thank you very much. You are hearing Arvind Kumar.